Hello and welcome to Let's Challenge. This week I'm playing Race the Sun and I'm trying to make it to Region 9. I've actually been playing for a while now, but I had a problem with my recording and had to restart, so I am a little familiar with this world now. And well, I'm mentioning that because in Race the Sun, the world actually changes every day. It's randomly generated, and every day you get a new world to play in. But I'm a little bit familiar with this world now because I've been playing for a while and trying to get to Region 9. And yeah, I thought it would be fun to try this since it always changes every day. And another thing about Race the Sun here is I have actually 3 power-ups now. As you play, you got special challenges you can do, and as you complete them, you level up, and when you complete them, you can upgrade your ship and get new upgrades and stuff. And I haven't made it to like the max level. Max, I guess, is 25, level 25 yet, but I have gotten to like, I think, 23 so far. And so I have a lot of upgrades and stuff to help me too. But before I had to restart, I actually made it to Region 7. I'm getting a little close to 9 now. I've actually never been to 9. I'm not sure if I've even been to Region 8 before, but I know I've been to at least 7 because I was there today. Anyways, there was a topic. Let's see. Yeah. I was thinking about choosing for this show sometime, some weeks I would choose some topic to talk about for a little bit. Because I know when I tend to do shows like this, I divulge into just talking about the game mechanics or some of my strategy or something for the game. I don't know how entertaining that really is, so I thought I might try just picking out a topic and talking about it too sometimes. So today, this week, I thought a metagame or metagaming could be a topic that might be fun to talk about, because I think it's an interesting one because there's so many different definitions for it, and it depends on what community you talk to, what metagaming means to them and such. And I think a good example of that is actually in Magic the Gathering. There's a difference really between what some of the players, I guess pro players, would call the meta, and then what the developers call the Magic meta. And well, I guess it really starts with Richard Garfield, who created Magic the Gathering. And if you really want to know a lot about it, you could go listen to Drive the Woke, a podcast that Mark Rosewater does, and he did an episode where he's talking about the social meta that Richard kind of purposefully tried to design for. He did some card designs with the social meta in mind. Anyways, I guess you could say the social meta in more general terms is just if you talk about a game at a time, kind of while you're not playing it, anytime you're talking about a game, you know, like if you're playing are you telling someone a D&D story or an Elder Scrolls story about some adventure you had in Elder Scrolls, but while you're not actually playing a game, I guess that's kind of the social meta. But anyways, in Magic, what Richard Garfield did to try to make that a big deal, or I guess make people engage in it more, was, well, one thing he did is he didn't tell players how rare cards were. Like in current Magic, there would be common, uncommon, rare, and mythic rare cards, and the rarity is, you know, easily known. It's actually printed right on the card. It tells you if it's common or uncommon and such. But when Magic was launched in Alpha, they didn't tell you the rarity of the cards. So that kind of forced you to play more and trade more and just get a feel for what's rare. And so since you didn't actually know, you actually had to, you know, socialize a bit, talk to other players and make trades and stuff. So you'd get a feeling of what's rare and what's common and uncommon and such. And I guess there also wasn't maybe a release deck list. Of course, people would make deck lists, card lists, like the whole set list. Not deck lists, but anyways, yeah, I don't think they, I guess, released a full list to a lot of the public and stuff, but that wasn't as available, so you had to, you know, if you wanted to get a feel for the cards, you had to socialize more. So that's part of what, I guess, Dr. Garfield did to make Magic a little more social. And yeah, I guess developers still think of the Magic meta as the, at least well, one magic meta is that socialization surrounding the game. There's tons of people who do videos and talk strategy and stuff. Yeah, but I guess that's very different from the pro meta, where players are talking more about what decks are popular. They're trying to, maybe predict or at least know what decks they need to prepare to play against and stuff. That's more of that type of meta. You want to know what cards are popular, what decks are popular, so but you have to be prepared to fight at least the best decks. And you can try to play the meta too much, though, of course, if you purposefully try to predict the meta before the tournament and then build your deck primarily on just trying to counter what you think will be most popular instead of playing just what you're best at playing. That could get you in trouble. But yeah, that's pretty different from the social meta. And there's a lot more metas, like I think speedrunning would be a meta game. There's a lot of meta games that it uses games kind of as a system to create your own games with your own rules. You could also, I guess, maybe call that a house rules meta. But speedrunning, I guess, is the most popular example of that. And I'm looking at this region. I don't know if I've taken this route before. Getting a little lost. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll just... What I'm really hoping for here, actually, is to find a portal world, because that should help me get a lot more sunlight back. One thing that I kept doing a lot, when I get to later areas, I just run out of sun. Like, when I start getting to regions 5 and 6, that's when the sunlight becomes a really big problem, because I guess I didn't explain this before I started talking about metagaming, but in Race to the Sun, you have a solar-powered vehicle. So if the sun sets, you just... you run out of energy, you can't go any farther. So it's really important to keep getting these yellow upgrades or pickups to make the sun rise higher. And also you try to stay out of the shadows of some stuff, because another thing is I'm trying to avoid those hallways, those kind of hallway areas, because they seem to have less sunlight and stuff in them. So yeah, you can really know the sun's about to set when you start hearing this eerie sci-fi space music starting up. It feels like some retro sci-fi stuff or something, this music. So I definitely went for that just so I could get some more sunlight. Even though it cost me 1 shield, that's fine. So I'm gonna actually get stuck in this hallway though. Maybe there's sunlight at the end of it. The main reason I don't like this, the hallways is once you're in one, you can't really get out to another one where only one of them will probably have sunlight a lot of the times, and you can't switch to the other hallway real fast very easily, or if at all. Your best shot is just to try to jump out of it if you have the jump upgrade. Okay, so I guess I was talking about saying something about speedrunning and how it's a meta game of where you like make up your own game, a game within a game type thing. That's one of the best examples of it. It's a large community with its own rules and tons of smaller sub-communities, and we ran out of sunlight again. That is, yep, still having trouble finding or sticking to a good route that will get me, enough sun to get to region 9. The best thing that can happen is if I make it to like region 6 or 7 and then hit a world portal. That will put the sun probably high enough that as long as I play well, I could maybe make it to region 9. Okay, but yeah, the speedrun meta, like one big rule is, you just can't cheat, obviously, and then you can't also use modified controllers. That's an important one. In particular, like Super Nintendo, you can't press up and down at the same time really with a normal controller. And there's definitely some games where if you could press up and down, it would cause some glitches that would really break some games. Like, the main one I know is A Link to the Past. If you press up and down at the same time while climbing stairways, you kind of fall off the stairs and go underneath them, and then you can just go straight to the end of the game, actually. And, well, I guess that's all I had to say about speedrunning. I didn't have much to say, actually. other than that's just another type of metagame. I guess a related thing though would be what I'd like to think of as information collecting. I think that's in itself can be a metagame. If you're just trying to gather info on games, either to speedrun them better or just play them better or get a higher score or whatever, or also just play well, I guess, at a high level in fighting games, like if you do frame counting and stuff, gathering that kind of information. Like the way you gather it could be a metagame. Like if you're looking at code or RAM watching and stuff for tool assisted speedruns, that's all like advanced information collecting stuff and this closely looking at game mechanics. And also I think part of that metagame is how you share the information, how you share all the info. If you make a YouTube channel and put vids up of your strategies or of your speedruns and stuff, trying to show off new tactics, new glitches and stuff, new routes, whatever. That's all part of that. Just managing the information and documenting it and sharing it is all part of that metagame. Also, I guess you can include like editing wiki pages if you're part of some game's wiki page. That's a kind of different information a lot of times. That's more about plot and characters and stuff. But I'd still include that as that kind of metagame. Or also if you're just a forum goer, you go out on forums and stuff. All good examples of that. So I guess the only other thing I would have to say about metagaming is a little story about, well, it's not that little, but a story about one of the first times I really, I think, thought about metagaming or heard the term and then understood it a little better. That's a lot of good sunlight here. Give me a little bit of chance to get up to, okay, well that's bad, but that's in the region I think, so that's not a terrible spot to get blinded. Okay, but yeah, story of, well, let's just talk about Yu Yu Hakusho actually. Yeah, I think it's a little odd but surprising that an old anime, Yu Yu Hakusho, would be the first time I really, I think, thought about metagaming or understood it a little better. Because there was an episode where Yu Yu Hakusho, or whatever his name is, I don't even remember his actual name, but him and his friends met some kid called the Game Master, and he kind of challenged them to this death game. Well, if they lost, they'd die. So, oh, that was a Portal World. That would have been a really good thing to hit right now. Anyways, yeah, if they lose, they die and such. And he was supposed to be just an extreme expert in all arcade games. So they were playing arcade games. And what I want to talk about is when they get to metagaming and just how deep you can get, how meta you can get with a game. All comes down to a quiz game. They played an old quiz game. It was a multiple choice quiz game. You had like 3 answers. And I believe it would actually show the question and then the answers. But I'm going to try to get boosted up really high here to see if I can find some sunlight nearby. I don't see anything. But there's a Portal World. If I make it there, that might save me. I'm really close. Oh. Running out of sun again. That's awful. Okay. So, back to my story about the Game Master. They were playing a quiz game. You had 3 choices, multiple choice questions, 3 choices. They showed the question before the answers, and the important part, the kind of key part to the show, and what made it dramatic and interesting is, like most quiz games, you can buzz in before they show the questions, or before they even completely show all the 3 answers. They showed the question, then the answer. So yeah, you could buzz in before you even see the multiple choice answers. But you might be thinking, if you buzzed in before, then how could you possibly answer correctly? If you don't know, even the answers? Well, of course, this being an old game, there's kind of limited number of questions, and in the TV show, both players apparently had memorized every question and every answer, and also what the the letters were going to be, because apparently the letters are always the same in this game. So you got A, B, C. They just remembered when you see this question, you already know whether it's A, B, or C, so they could buzz in as soon as possible. And well, I guess the dramatic part all comes down to which one could actually buzz in sooner, how meta they got. And well, the player 1, which was one of Yu Yu Hakusho's friends, he went ahead and memorized all the questions and the answers, like I said, but he also was able to identify every question at the the first possible letter. So if you had two questions that started with like WHO, like who did something or what did something, it would be WHO. Then you'd know it's the who question, and you could buzz in with A if A's the right answer right away. Or if it's WHA, if there was only one question with WHA, you could buzz in and answer that question as soon as possible. And so he did that with all the questions, and he thought he was unbeatable and everything. But the Game Master had an even more advanced and even more meta strategy in that, in this old arcade game, apparently the game uses some pseudo-randomness that would pick a list beforehand, so there's only a limited number of like combinations of what order the questions could appear in. And the Game Master memorized every combination, and similar to what the other player had done with the questions, he also memorized the the earliest point at which each list could be identified. So it turned out like the Game Master, after the first 8 questions were answered, he always knew like what list of questions they were on. So the first player, Yu Yu Hakusho's friend, he could only buzz in after a couple letters had appeared. But the Game Master, because he knew even before any letters appear at all, he could always buzz in right away. And that's pretty amazing. It's also plausible. That's why I think it's a really good episode and a good introduction to kind of extreme metagaming, because it's, even though it seems really difficult for a human to actually do, it is at least, I guess, technically possible. Like if the game is actually set up like that, where the lists are chosen at the beginning of the game. Excuse me. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty amazing and a good example of like extreme metagaming there. And I missed another Portal World I saw there. Oh well. I think I can survive to the next region and get another chance at a Portal World. And actually, one thing I would say is, I was thinking of how you could beat the Game Master. That's a little interesting thing. So I mentioned the game uses pseudo-randomness, like pretty much all games do, at least old games. Nowadays, I guess you could get something a little close to true randomness with if you have the game connected to the internet. It could use a server to monitor some real-world phenomenon, and that could result with a more random number. But way back then with an old arcade game, they would have to use something less random than that, something more pseudo-random. And well, I guess I'll explain how that works. Is you get a seed, it will monitor something of some type in order to get a seed, and then it puts the seed into an equation, and then the equation will put out a random number that the game can understand. It's all that is just so the player won't be able to predict the seed very easily, and also of course so the game can just get a number it understands. And let's see, what was my point of all that? Oh yeah, a lot of at least some old programs and stuff might have used time and date as a random number, or as the seed for its random number generator. So if this old arcade game that Yu Yu Hakusho is playing used time and date for its seed, then that would give you actually a method to beat the Game Master, as long as you actually knew the equation. Oh, we're coming up in region 7. This is the farthest I've made it so far. But yeah, I'm running out of sunlight again. Let's see if I can get through this. Okay. Last time I came here, I actually made it to a Portal World, like right at the end of that little hallway. I was lucky enough to pick a hallway that had a Portal World at the end. Okay, let's get this done real fast, and I'll continue my story about RNG, random number generators. I guess I explained that well enough so far. Okay, that's a good point to start this again, my explanation. RNG manipulation, that would be how you beat the Game Master. And it can be a tricky thing to do, but the easiest situation that you would hope for is that the game uses time and date as its seed for the random number generator. Now you can't of course, you couldn't manipulate the time and date exactly. You just have to turn on the game at approximately the right time. And, of course, you'd also have to know the equation beforehand. So, if they had studied the game's code, and they, like Yu Yu Hakusho and his friends, if they had done that, they actually somehow studied the game's code and found out the equation for what chooses the list of questions beforehand, if they had done all that, then they could have input the time and date before they started playing of when they knew they had to play the Game Master, and then they just have the whole list of questions, and at that point they would be able to beat the Game Master, because the Game Master had to wait 8 questions before he could start buzzing in and answering before they showed any letters. But they could have started with question 1, and so at that point the Game Master wouldn't be able to catch up even after 8 questions. So yeah, that's how, I guess, theoretically, one way the Game Master could be beaten, just to show how meta you can get, is, I guess, if you wanted to put it into tiers almost for that game, you'd start off just with memorizing questions and answers, and then memorizing, how to identify each question as soon as possible, and then you'd go into what the Game Master did, memorizing the lists of possible question combinations, and then again identifying the list as soon as possible, and then after that you'd have to just know how the game generates the list from the beginning, and then somehow manipulate that if possible. And that would be, as far as I know, I guess that's as meta as you could get, because you could actually start answering questions from question 1 before any letters appeared showing you, what the question was at all. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that, but we're still stuck all the way back in Region 3 trying to get to Region 9 in this game. Seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. Well, I'm taking slightly different routes each time because I can't really stick to a route very well in this game. So from here on, I think I'm going to cut until I get back to like Region 7, and then we'll see if I can make it to Region 9. I've been playing a long time. I don't think I'm going to give up until I get to Region 9 at this point. Welcome back. I finally made it back to Day 7, Region 7, and it actually took so long. It's a whole new day. I had to quit the other day when I was playing and continue when I could. So we got a whole new world. We even got new portal worlds and everything. But the music is actually stopped in the game. That's an odd thing that happens sometimes if you are... when the sun's setting, it changes the music, and occasionally it doesn't change back if you recover from that. So we get to sit in silence with none of the cool music for the game right now. But we're still doing well in Region 7, I think. I'm not sure how close the sun is to setting since there's no music to help me, and we're onwards to Region 8. So, I'll go ahead and mention again, this is actually a different day, so the world reset from when I started this challenge of going to Region 9. Although now the sun is starting to set, but today it's been pretty good at giving me a lot of sunlight. I've been lucky in finding it, and keeping the sun just barely high enough to keep playing. As you can see, it's a little bit more sun to help me out. It looks like there's lots more sun today before. Or I've just been lucky. Who knows? Things are getting fast here in Region 8 though. The witchery of the South Bake Easy Oven is destroying our children's minds. Yes, welcome back to Region 8. The sun is slowly setting, but it looks like there's more sun in these later regions. Well, at least I've been lucky enough to, get several sun boosters in a row, long enough to keep me alive. Let's try to get this sun here. No, couldn't get that. So let's keep going. Let's try to get to Region 9. I think I can do it. I think I can get to Region 9. I think the sun is high enough, as long as I just play well, don't crash into anything. We can make it. Region 9. Region 9. Where are we going? Region 9. We're going to make it. I know it. And things have gotten quite speedy around here. But That was a nice jump to let me get that boost. That's another thing is having jumps is a lot more helpful because we made it! We're gonna get to region 9 as long as the sun doesn't set here. But yes, having jumps is nice because they like to place sun behind those falling blocks. So let's get a little bit of sun. At least see region 9 before the sun sets, please. There we go. I've finally seen region 9. I would have loved to have a bit of sun there right at the beginning to help me keep going. Okay, we're still alive, we're surviving. Maybe we can get somewhere on region 9. If it would give me a bit more sun here, I can maybe even beat it. Well, this is different. It looks like there's a lot more interesting creatures, those centipedes and things going on. Okay, let's stay out here. Maybe there's some sunlight out here or somewhere. No, I don't see any sun. Well, it actually took me a long time to make it to region 9. I was hoping I could maybe beat it, but at least I made it. So I'm going to call it quit for this challenge. And join me again next week for another challenge. Thanks for watching. Bye.